Welcome, Sung-eun. It is such a pleasure having you with us today in Eoh-lution.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this very, very meaningful project. I feel really honored. Thank you so much, Tony.
Before we start our conversation, I would like you to introduce briefly who you are, where you come from, and what is the initiative that we are going to talk about mainly.
My name is Sung-eun Lim, and I am talking with you now from South Korea, Seoul. And basically, I'm based in Seoul, South Korea, but I'm working for a German non-profit civic organization, which is called Friedrich Naumann Foundation, which is dedicated to promote civic participation and civic education based on very important liberal values such as human rights, rule of law, and freedom, of course, and market economy. And we are active worldwide, including the office in Korea, through various civic educational programs. So what we are doing is basically all the formats with educational purpose, but from civic perspective. So for instance, we do a lot of workshops, seminars, and lectures, and also study tours, or even roundtable or board games, which can enhance public awareness, at the same time, civic participation in many, many decision-making process. And when it comes to South Korea office, we are very active in specific areas like local autonomy, digital transformation, and smart cities, and peace and unification, because Korea is a divided country. So we are also working on peace and unification topics. But maybe with Eoh and your project, Tony, I think we might want to focus more on digital transformation and smart cities. While we are working on these topics, we try to provide programs and different perspectives, highlighting the very fundamental questions on why we need digital transformation and where and how we want to achieve that, and how this digital transformation and innovation can contribute to improving the quality of life, but also in upgrading the human dignities.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think it's the great combination that having this rooted in local communities, focusing on this combination between civil rights, democracy, the rule of law that you were mentioning, together with digitalization and smart cities development, so together with the citizens. So that's especially one of the things that we want to deep on. For us, it's important to understand how this is done, because usually we do many things, but we forget the citizens, and we forget to make this combination of the innovation together with the principles and the values that have to rule the type of society that we want. Before we move to the following question, I would like to ask you, what is your background? How you arrived to this organization? How is the combination of fields and people that you are bringing together?
Actually, I have studied political science, but also I have a major in French literature as my bachelor's degree. And I have studied also European integration and European law as my master, because when I was young, when I was a university student, I was fascinated by the European integration process. So I just wanted to learn more deeply how it was made. And also I was wondering if this kind of regional integration could take place in Asia, or more specifically in East Asia, where there is a lot of conflict from different dimensions. Then later, I got into very interested in development cooperation, like international development cooperation, because the foundation is actually one of the Asian very strong actors in delivering development cooperation worldwide. Simply what we do is, it's not just building the bridge or the infrastructure or the hospitals. We don't do that, but we believe that building very sound and democratic citizen is very, very important, building a block for a society, for a better society. So we work worldwide as a promoter of civic society in many, many countries. So that brings me back to study a bit more on development cooperation as my PhD course. But of course, I have not completed my thesis, so it's halfway done, but this is kind of my background. And
it's perfect, because then we see the interdisciplinary background that brings up the different lenses that you are looking at to this complex issue that you are building together, these bridges that you're building together there in Korea. And we are finding this in many of people that are coming to Eoh-lution, that they are not only from one field, but from many different fields, and combining different knowledge, different experiences, different working with different type of organizations or different type of people brings you a different understanding on this complexity, and I think that's very, very interesting. So tell us a little bit on how, when it started, who did started it, and how it is in practice, the day-to-day work of the foundation in Korea, in what you are doing there.
That goes back to 1957. This German foundation is very unique worldwide because this one is based on very bitter history experience of Germany, who regretted a lot about what happened in the World War II. So after the end of the war, what Germany had felt its very strong need to build up strong democratic citizens. It's not the infrastructure hardware of democracy, which was the essential of the democracy, but it's the rather software or the mindset and the capacity of the democratic citizens. So they decided to open up the foundation and also the Federal Agency for Civic Education as well. And I think the difference between the political foundation like us and the Federal Agency of Civic Education for Germany is the federal one is more neutral based and home based institution, while the political foundations like us are based on specific and different political ideology and values. So for instance, Friedrich Naumann Foundation, we are based on the liberal ideas. So we try to advocate individual freedom and democracy and liberal democracy and market economy and human rights. So in case of South Korea, we opened our office in 1987. That was the time when Korea has just started to democratize. So before 1987, we were still having kind of military dictatorship. 1987, that's the year when we had the current constitution, which introduced democratic presidents, elect democratic presidents after. So that was a very crucial, very important time for Korea when it comes to democracy and democratization. And the foundation tried to come to Korea to somehow to support it, but not directly the democracy from the top, but we started to work with the local government supports like so-called grassroots democracy from the bottom up. That's the beginning of how we open the Korea office.
Yeah, that's very interesting. How it started, what it triggered the organization, and how it also started in Korea. In which moment in time it was ready to enter into the country when the conditions were in place for doing so. And I think that's also something that we are realizing for things to start. You know that you need to find the right setting and the right time. So you were talking a little bit on the drivers, so on the principles of the foundation. What about the limitations? Which are the ones that you are encountering and how you are overcoming them?
And when we came to Seoul, I mean, in 1987, that was still under authoritarian government. So as a foreign organization, I mean, I wasn't there at the time, but I assume that we wanted, I mean, the foundation wanted to be safe. That's my assumption, and meaning that they started to work with the university. Academic university and academia is relatively neutral and safe from the government intervention, at least even during the dictatorship. So, and also given the Confucianist culture, professors and academias and universities, they are highly respected. And Korea was one of the countries who put a lot of investment and emphasis on education. So the foundation had a right partner to start their job, and that was the beginning of their work. So that's, again, that influence also the spectrum of the local partners that we are working with, because local partners and local actors, they know the best. They are really the first contact with the people, with the end target group. Given the historic development starting point, we have a lot of academic partners. FNF Korea office has a lot of, we work at a lot of universities, and also we work with think tank, which is very good because we have very good disseminating channels, because through the university, through the professors, and we can easily reach out to students, and the students are really the future of the society, future of our country. So, but on the other hand, like, sometimes university can be also very conservative. They can be extremely innovative and creative, but at least in Korean context, professors can be also very conventional. So this is the very fixed and difficult, in a way, to break relations. There is a hierarchy in between, but what we want to do is while we respecting the experts and professors and all these knowledgeable persons, we want to encourage students, we want to encourage our participants to say something. It might be different ideas from the ones of the professors. That's called limitation, but that was a challenge for us to be more creative, braver in a way, to in introducing more participatory manners where no one is left out in a way, in the discussions, in the learning process. Also, one limitation I would say is partner spectrum. When we work with a public think tank, they also have relatively fixed, rigid ideas and the way of doing their work. I would say limitation or challenge is associated with our culture or our hierarchy, our social convention. That's it's very difficult to break out. And then the way how we try to overcome is to find more creative formats where people feel fun and invited and easy, relaxed to share.
Well, that's. I think you made a very good summary of what you were explaining on these limitations and cultural settings and things. I always find that when you have these limitations, you are triggered to find solutions, and that's when creativity and innovation comes. How you are putting in place this innovation, because you are bringing together very different type of factors. Young people and students together with professors or more established academics and policymakers and different type of actors here. But when you bring together such a different type of people, and they are out of their comfort zone, as you were saying, or their conventional way of doing things, then you have to put in place something that is working for this setting to happen. Tell us a little bit on how this is done.
We have a lot of target groups, like as you said, we work with young students, we work with established professors, we work with also local government, city of government officials. They are also one of our very, very important target groups, and also the policymakers. And then we also have the private companies indirectly through our partners, because again, we work with partners, local partners, and local partners are the multiplier of that specific ecosystem, and they bring their own target groups. I think we had kind of living lab or startup mentoring programs using living lab approach. That was mainly targeting the young startups or to-be startups. So this is one case where we had some people from the business sectors.
And this is linked also with digitalization that you were talking before as well.
Exactly. I mean, when it comes to digitalization, again, we try to bring some very fundamental questions when we provide programs. Like, I mean, our programs, again, its format is educational format, lectures, workshops, seminars, conferences, or a series of training programs. When they join, we really try to ask and stress the message, like why we need digital transformation. Because when you, even with the startups or the business people, you hardly ask that question actually. Maybe you ask different questions, how you make your business model more sustainable and more profitable, and how you can attract your funder. We try to emphasize, while you are pursuing your business, you have to include others. You have to include the citizens, because they are part of your business, your society. This is what
that's the ecosystem, right? That's how you build the full ecosystem. Yeah.
Exactly. So, for instance, when we supported one training programs for to-be startups, entrepreneurship program, I remember we used the living lab approach, which means that when they develop their business model, we try to help them how they can easily or how can more successfully find out what is needed and how they could satisfy that by using this living lab approach. You have to bring different stakeholders from the very beginning of your project, and your project, either business or public, whatever, it should include other stakeholders.
you were saying maybe it's not the same type of living lab. And this is something that we are digging up a little bit on what a living lab is. So when you are comparing two, so you have in mind one type, and then you are comparing what you are proposing, which is a different animal. So tell us a little bit on this.
For me, living lab, it comes first as a principle, actually, the culture or the process or procedure of having everyone from the beginning till the end. So that's how I see and understand the living lab. And then for business, for economic or the business side, usually the living lab tends to be used as a testing bed. I really want to have open platform where people can freely and easily communicate and express their ideas, and that's and very naturally in that discussions, in that conversation, the idea of having some solutions could come out. And then also very naturally and very voluntarily, the those who agree with the solutions come together to make it happen. So that's how I see the living lab. But that can be maybe too idealistic, I guess.
Dream. I mean, if we don't dream, things don't happen, or don't happen in a different mode, so that we can change things. And I think this is, by the way, what you are trying to do there, and trying to create the setting and the conditions and the structured principles for things to happen in a different manner. So I think that's a very interesting approach, which is wider than not only business innovation driven approach. It's more, like a quadruple, quintuple, or multi-actor approach, coming together to try different ways of doing things. So then what you are doing is cultivating this entrepreneurial culture there. So tell us a little bit on how this is done. I mean, this cultivation of entrepreneurial culture beyond not only understanding entrepreneurial as a business, but as also mastering of the creativity of people and the creativity of collaboration.
Promoting civic spirits and civic participation, and how we do it. Again, I think I go back to the formats, and because sometimes the formats that matters so much more than the content itself, because you have the right formats where people feel invited and to contribute, they the final product comes differently. And then this format is really part of the procedure and part of maybe transformative procedure. Through participating in the different formats, people are already transformed in a way without maybe knowing it. How we foster the important values or civic participation, democracy, rule of law, or even entrepreneurial spirit is through the right format, like where people can feel like contributing, feel like saying. So how we foster the spirit through different but very participatory formats, and while joining the program, they feel they already a little bit transformed.
But one of the difficulties is how we measure this transformation. So do you have things in place for that?
This is very, very intangible, so difficult to measure. I think I have to maybe refer to a very recent program that we had. That was a kind of conversation program one-on-one. It's among students, and the students have to be in pair to have an in-depth conversation for just two of them. And how we made this pair is based on their answers on different questions, because we asked them like 10 questions, and then we try to put two people from different spectrum of answers. For instance, regarding Korean unification, are you in favor of unification? Yes or no, and in between. So we try to really bring the students, the two people who have relatively extremely different opposing ideas.
Wow,
And
that's brave.
yeah, that's brave, but there was no fight. I think students really enjoy that. The goal of this program is let each other listen to each other. That's it. They all liked it. Of course, they were a bit suspicious at the beginning, but everything went well. And some of them, they say they changed their mind after this discussion.
Wow, that's
So
very interesting.
now you see the formats, and in the middle of the process, people can change.
Yeah, that for sure. But then you need to have the right setting and the right instructions, and also to build the trust that we are safe. So because we are in this transition of trying things, new things. So if you can tell us what your new generation of living labs would look like.
Trust.
Just trust, or just
Yes. Trust and openness. That's that would be the vision of the next generation, because openness, that's the beginning of everything. Because if you are not open-minded to different ideas and different innovation and different people, different sectors, you cannot move forward. You cannot go for social innovation or any innovation.
Yeah, okay. I think that's it is a good way to portray how we come to reach others. Social innovation is very far from technology innovation in some cases. So we are not talking to each other to find out what are the needs of the users. This is very, very important to build these bridges between generations, but also between different type of innovations that you were mentioning, or between different fields.
Yeah, also I want to stress once again the importance of communication, because everyone has different language. When we talk about the innovation, I think we talk something different. We have different perspective, different understanding. Even if we use the same language, we have different definition. So when you bring people from different sectors, you really need to make sure that you communicate well with others. And this communication based on the open mind, openness, should be developed and practiced. You need a very experienced communicator who translates different languages from each other to another. And that is how Friedrich Naumann Foundation Korea office is actually doing to bridge the people here in Korea and also the people from Europe or from the Asia where other FNF offices are located. So communication, openness, and then based on that, we should build up the trust among all stakeholders.
We like to call them the enablers of the communication or the collaboration. So if I ask you, how would you explain the meaning of social innovation, what would you say?
It's a process of inclusion. No one is left out, and we are all invited to do something good for our society.
And what do you see social innovation as being useful for?
Simply, it helps us to reduce any social cost.
All right.
And then it helps to increase our happiness and our trust.
And the last one is, what's the key factor for building an effective social innovation ecosystem?
Communication. Talk with people with open mind.
Okay. So thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure, and have a very good successful in everything you do.
Thank you so much, Tony. I mean, really all the best for your project.